So, in a recent interview, Terrence Crawford has been talking about retiring soon. So, he said that he's getting at an age, I think he's 36, and he's getting at an age where he's thinking about retirement. And to be honest with you, for his particular weight class, he's not at an age where he's young at that weight class. When you think about most welterweights, they don't tend to go well into their 40s and their 50s. The weight classes where fighters tend to age a lot better is heavyweight, light heavyweights. Obviously, we know about George Foreman. He managed to win the heavyweight title at the age of 45. We know about, for example, Bernard Hopkins, who managed to win a title when he was at light heavyweight. So the the higher weight classes tend to produce fighters that tend to age better, and the reason for that is because the higher the weight class is, generally, the lower the output is, the lower the energy is. So the higher you get into the higher weight classes, they throw less punches. It's less strenuous on the body, and the lower weight classes are usually the ones where fighters tend to retire a lot quicker. And they tend to burn out a lot more because they tend to be weight classes where the combatants are usually throwing more punches. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. You got Pacquiao, who managed to fight into, I believe, into his 40s. Not to his 40s, but close to his 40s. So he went up to 36, 37, 38. He managed to beat Keith Thurman when he was like in his late 30s. But generally speaking, the lower weight classes, like from welterweight downwards, they tend to retire at an earlier age than the higher weight classes. So obviously, Terrence Crawford is 36 now. He's on the pinnacle of the sport, so he's definitely number one pound for pound in my opinion. He's managed to become undisputed in two weight classes, and obviously retirement is probably not far off, to be honest with you. Like, he probably doesn't want to go into his early 40s or mid 40s or late 40s in boxing, so he's probably thinking about that. But one thing I'm thinking is, what he's saying is not ridiculous, but I'm just thinking it might be a negotiation tactic. Him saying that he wants to retire soon is probably his way of like saying that, the only way that I'm going to fight is if you give me the bag. So obviously he made a decent payday against Errol Spence. I think he made like 10 million base for his fight against Errol Spence, and then obviously the pay-per-view on top is probably going to make that 20 million, 30 million at least. So he's probably thinking about making as much money as he can so he can retire and ride off into the sunset. And fair enough. I mean, he's sacrificed and done whatever he had to do, and he had to deal with so much boxing politics to get himself into this position. But I think the fact that he's mentioning retirement might be his way of negotiating for higher purses. And a lot of fighters have done this. Obviously, Mayweather, he used to retire every so often, so you have to offer him big money to get him out of retirement. Sugar Ray Leonard used to retire quite a lot. Even Tyson Fury has mentioned retirement. Even in other sports, like for example Conor McGregor retired 2-3 times. So fighters tend to do this, and a lot of times they do it as a negotiation tactic. They just say, I'm going to retire. Even lately, if you look at a fighter like Teofimo Lopez, after his great performance against Josh Taylor, he retired, and he said he was going to retire and he's going to vacate the belt. Thankfully, he's changed his mind. But the reason why fighters do tend to do this, it can be a bit of a negotiation tactic, so that like networks and promoters, they start offering them big money to get them out of retirement. So they threaten to retire, so that promoters and such can offer them big money. But I think with Terrence Crawford does seem like a genuine guy. He doesn't seem like he's in it for them. Like, he's in it to make a bag. Don't get it twisted. He wants to make his money, but for him, it seems like it's less about the bag and it's about titles and proving that he's the best and like becoming like one of the seen as one of the best fighters of his era. So for him, I think it is partly to do with him wanting to get the bag, because obviously him saying that he's going to retire, it can be seen as a negotiation tactic. Like for example, Showtime and PBC, they're going to have to offer him big money that's worth his while for him to take fights now, because he's coming towards the end of his career. So he's not going to take fights that are like against opponents that are not going to generate income. So he's probably not going to fight the likes of like a Keith Thurman or a Boots Ennis, because to be fair, they're not really that established. So he's probably thinking in his head like, for you to get a fight against me, you need to do something really big for me to even acknowledge you. And the only way for that to happen is if you're in a position where you can actually be acknowledged. And for example, a fight between him and Canelo would probably sell well. And I know he said that he doesn't want to take a fight against Canelo, but if they offered him the right bag, he might take that fight. Because there was talks about Errol Spence fighting Canelo, and let's be real, Terrence Crawford has beat the brakes off Errol Spence. So if he was offered a fight, then I don't see why Terrence Crawford can't be. Also, there's fights about him versus the Charlos, Jamel Charlo in the 154 division. If he's offered enough money with that, that's a fight we could potentially watch, and he could potentially become undisputed on that division. So, from my perspective, I just think I think Terence Crawford is being genuine. He is thinking about retirement now because he's at an age in his career where the lower weight classes, they tend to age a lot faster than the higher weight classes. So there's not that many fighters that in their 40s at welterweight, light welterweight, that are absolutely going to kill it. They're just not, because the weight classes are not designed that way. While there are fighters that in their at their later, more advanced age that may pick up a title at heavyweight. For example, Zheli Zhang, who just beat Joy Joyce, he's in his late 30s, and he gave one of the best performances of his career. Even Joyce is like 34, 35, 37, like 36. He's at a more advanced age, but he's still competing at the top of the heavyweight division. Not at the top, but he's competing in the top 10, I would say. So from my perspective, it is a bit of negotiation, but I think Terence Crawford is being genuine. I don't think he sees himself going for... He might see himself going for probably 2-3 more years, but I can see him retiring before he's 40, to be honest with you. I just don't see him going for like into his early 40s, mid 40s, late 40s in a sport as brutal as boxing. So I think he's probably going to go for big paydays now. And that's what he's trying to negotiate at this point in time. And on top of that, he's probably looking to become undisputed in his third weight class. He's probably looking to become undisputed at 154. That's what his plans are. He wants to become undisputed at 154 to accomplish something that's never been done in boxing. He's already done it by becoming undisputed in 2 weight classes. But if he can do it at a third weight class, I mean, that's some legacy-defining record there. But it's a question of whether the Jamel Charlos of the world will take a fight with him, because he's got everything to lose and nothing to gain. If he beats Crawford, Charlo is just going to look like somebody who's just beaten a smaller fighter, and he might not get as much recognition for it. But if he loses to Crawford, then it's just going to look bad on him. So whether he takes that fight or not is anyone's guess. The only way he's going to take that fight is if he's offered a lot of money. So, in my opinion, he might fight Boots Ennis, but what I think he might do is, if he's going to take the rematch against Errol Spence, and that rematch might be at 154, and then I think he's going to try to clean out the 154 division and become undisputed there, just to like really stamp his authority on the game and say, I've accomplished something that no other boxer has done. I've become undisputed in 3 weight classes. If he's able to accomplish that, then that just puts him on another level. He's already on another level after becoming undisputed in 2 weight classes, but in 3 weight classes, I think that's incredible. And then after that, he might try to get a fight against Canelo, maybe at middleweight or something. I don't know if he can go that far up, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts talking about having a fight with that. Or maybe he wants to fight a Boots Ennis. It remains to be seen, but I think we are coming towards the end of Terence Crawford's career. I think 2-3 more years he's going to go, and then that's it, it's done. He's probably going to retire before he's 40, probably like 36, 37, 38, 39, around that age. Just before he hits 40, he's going to retire. Kind of similar to the way Mayweather did it, actually. So tell me what you think below. Do you think he's going to go on? Do you think it's a negotiation tactic? Why do you think he's mentioning retirement? I think he's just being realistic and he's just saying it. And the fact that he's putting it out there, it lets promoters know that every fight that he takes now, he's going to be selective about. So if you want him to take a fight on your network, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. That's just my opinion. Tell me what you think below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.